It has been a long couple of weeks, but we are today we will be concluding our preseason previews, and we're going to do it with checking in on the Indiana State Sycamore program, and got a chance on Wednesday afternoon to catch up with the radio voice, John Sherman, of the Indiana State program, year 2 of the Mark Mitchell era. So let's welcome in John Sherman and our conversation from a couple of days ago as we preview the Indiana State women. John, a season ago, 4-28 overall, 2-18 in the Valley in Mark Mitchell's first year with the program. I don't know if I'm smart enough to come up with a word to describe the year, but I would assume nightmare probably covers most of it.
Yes.
Not
the
fun,
way you want it. It wasn't. The kids were, for me, they were great. I'd been around them long enough to get to know them, and was sorry that they left. And actually, and you guys have one of ours in
right.
Keslin. So I wish them all the best, but it is a new year. And here at Indiana State, it's a brand new team. It's a brand new coaching staff, one holdover, new GAs. So we're all trying to figure out what 25-26 will look like, not only myself, but everybody involved.
Coach Mitchell got hired late. I mean, he
Yes.
came in the middle of May in 24. And I mean, shoot, at that point, the portal is, you've got what you've got. And obviously when you get to the end of last year, it was just like, okay, everybody's got to go and we're going to start over and kind of bring in my folks. Just, was there any maybe overarching frustration that you saw where he was just like, these aren't the people I need to do the things the way I want to do them? And that when you sweep it out like that had to have been sort of the commonality of all of it.
Jeff, I think that was. There were, he wants to run a full court, high pressure. Here we go. We're going to, let's get the ball up and score. And I just didn't think last year we had that personnel that could do those kind of things. I think he was able to go out this year, get to the portal, get the type of players that need to play that type. And as you know, and they've been here since June, much like everybody else, and getting their work in, and you can see the progress. And, it's one of those where you take, one step forward, and at times you're going to take 2 steps back, whether it's, that ankle injury, sidelining somebody during the preseason. But I think he's got the pieces that he wants to play his style of basketball. And it's been successful wherever he's been, when he was at UIndy, whether he was at Fairleigh Dickinson Florham, whether he was at St. Peter's, he's had success with that type of system. And, he's trying to implement that here.
And I think that's the, for maybe fans, there's just like, geez, 4-28. What, how do we bring this guy in? I could have won 4 games coaching the team, but you just look at his pedigree, and to your point, I mean, been a Division I head coach, turned St. Peter's around, goes undefeated at Division III level, wins a national title. The dude knows what he's doing. It's just a matter of getting the right pieces to plug in there.
And I think that's with everybody, and especially in this day and age of college basketball. That roster is going to flip no matter what at some point in time. It'll be really hard to look at a roster and say, we don't have 9 new players or, 10 new players. This year we have 14 new players. It just so happens to be, but it's a year 2. And him coming in late last year, you're kind of just piecemealing things. Okay, this person's still left. We can hope that young lady can do what we think she can do. And this is what I'm working with here. And it's a completely different style than what the last staff, what Chad and Deidre had. So it was a hard year to go through for everybody involved. But I think he's gone out and able in that 12-month span to be able to get some of the pieces that he's looking for to run what he wants to run.
You had some talented kids on that team last year. And sometimes it's all about fit. And it was like, it didn't work. And the kids we talked about, Keston Sechrist going in conference to Murray State, Bella Finnegan going up the road to Illinois State, Chloe Williams out to Nevada. It was like, these are kids that, going to places that are high level type places. And again, just going back to sometimes it just doesn't work It
Yeah.
just doesn't work.
Sage Stahl's up at Purdue.
Yeah.
So it's not like, the pieces weren't here. Talented, just a different, as you mentioned, just didn't work.
Yeah.
And wish those kids, they're great kids to be around. Keslin and Bella and Sage, a lot of would just pop in my office to say hello. And got to know their parents, which is always the fun part in my job here at Indiana State, and also, being on the road with them during the conference year. So wish them all the best, and they're going to be great individuals when they graduate, and they're going to be great to society wherever they end up. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes it just doesn't fit. And, the sun came up today. I saw it. I was up early enough at 5 a.m. I saw it. So we go on, see what happens here in 25, 26.
Well, we usually talk about key additions to rosters, but it's everybody. So we had to weed it down just a little bit. But some of the names that certainly jump out, I think a young lady, and it's maybe a buy low situation. Kennedy Claybrooks coming in from SEMO, who she was playing a lot, scoring 10 points a game over there, got hurt, and got a chance to bring her in. Mary Flowers out of McLennan Community College, big 6'2" forward, just a big body. You need to be able to compete in this league. So a lot of kids maybe from the JUCO level, maybe, got hurt. And again, the buy low options, but kids that you really think can come in and make an impact right away.
Yeah, I think Kennedy's one who you've seen her leadership come a lot in the preseason. She actually played against us last year, and had a really good game. She only played in 7 games at SEMO, but was averaging almost 10 points a contest. But I remember talking to Mark about her, just her floor awareness, her basketball IQ. You can see it on the floor here that she commands. She's running the show. And she will let you know she's running the show. And sometimes I think Mark tells her, hey, you got to be even more vocal at times. Amari Flowers, 6'2" sophomore, big body inside, who runs the floor really well. You may think, okay, we can get her on some speed. But I'm telling you, when it comes that late third, fourth quarter, she's still running up and down the floor. She's going to be able to get, 4 to 6 extra points by running the floor. And beating the bigs down. So that's going to be interesting to see. The other one who's kind of turned some heads around here is Tierney Kelsey, transferring from Jackson State. She's had herself a nice preseason as well. So I think, and she's only a sophomore, but a big guard, 5'6". I think what Mark has done this year, he's gotten more athletic, and he's gotten, not size-wise, in thickness-wise, but I think in length-wise. Yeah. Been able to, to cut off those passing lanes. And if he gets that pressure defense that he's been looking for, I think those people are going to be able to play a factor.
And just speaking from firsthand on the outside experience with Murray State, when they came in 3 years ago from the Ohio Valley Conference, the quick knock was just too small to compete against the size in this league. And so the zag to the zig was, well, we're just going to go small, but we're going to play as fast as humanly possible. And obviously cut the nets down a year ago for Coach Mitchell to kind of go and not an apples for apples equation, but to be up tempo and pressing and doing all that. There's at least a blueprint of, we can flip this thing pretty fast right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you guys had the young lady Young in the middle, so that kind of helps a little bit. If you want to bring her down, I know she's still on staff, but if she's open to anything here. But I joked with her. I saw her after the game last year, and it's one of those you want to send them flowers at graduation that they're finally done. But I think what's happened in Murray can happen here with that flip the switch. To get things going, you're still going to have those battles. Drake, Northern Iowa, Illinois State, UIC, they're all in that, talent area. I think this is probably as balanced a valley as we'll see in quite some time. I think Belmont obviously is the top team with what they have coming back, especially at the guard spots. But I think the rest can battle everybody inside throughout the year, and I think you're going to have a really good Valley season.
when we look at the non-conference schedule, you almost hate it, but it's just sometimes it's the way it goes. You get four home games, 2 non-D1s in there, going to the Cherokee Invitational before Christmas, play some big brands, Michigan State, maybe Ole Miss as well in there. And then, but overall, it feels, for just lack of a better word, manageable. And
Yes.
you're not playing 7 money games. There are games on here that even on the road, to go to IU Indy, to go to, Edwardsville is a good program, Austin P, Western Kentucky. It's like, we can go win there. And hey, maybe you go 4, 5, 6, 7 in the non-conference where it just feels like this program just needs a palate cleanser off last year. Let's go win some games. We're good. We've got talent here. Let's get some confidence. Let's go rolling into the conference.
I think the non-conference for us will be a confidence booster.
Yeah.
I think it's going to show some things. We start off at IU Indy, which is a 45-minute drive for us here. Come home to East Illinois, which is always a really good rivalry with us. Going to Western Kentucky and Austin P, playing it like a Valley weekend. Mm-hmm. So that's going to tell us a lot right away and how we can travel. And you mentioned SIU Edwardsville. It's a good program there. Come home for a couple. But then as the non-conference starts winding down, you've got Northern Illinois coming in here. We go to Butler, which is another hour drive. So you got a Big East school in there. You mentioned Michigan State, possibly Ole Miss. So there's some tests. But I think early on, with some confidence, get a couple of wins in there. And let's see what happens. Does this type of system, and I always think the non-conference is to find out what your role is going to be. We can sit here on October the 29th or whatever it is and say, okay, we think so-and-so can be here and this is what's going to happen. We all know the non-conference is what develops your role on that team. So I think the roles still have to be figured out. And I think those first 5 or 6 non-conference games will kind of tell us where our strength and where our weaknesses are, and then get ready because we open up, our Valley season opens up with Drake at home. Right. Welcome to the Valley, ladies. And then, we get, then we got you get Michigan State, possibly Ole Miss, and then you go into Illinois State. So, the non-conference is going to help us, but the early part of the Valley Conference is going to wake us.
There's a definite frying pan and fire reference we can make at that point. What does success look like for you this year?
It's a great question. And I think –
what does success look like for Mark Mitchell this year?
Well, for Mark Mitchell wants to be 31-0. That's where success is. I think the growth, if you can see what they want to do from an offensive and defensive standpoint, if they can stay with it, if they can get the up-tempo going, if they can get the defensive side of the ball back to where he wants it to be, where they're playing more full court, the up-tempo, where they're causing disruptions in the passing lane. If they can hold on to the ball this year, which was a big problem a year ago, I think that'll show, and it'll show early if we can keep the system in place and not change it around or slow the tempo down. I think that'll be success. Win-wise, I never put, no matter what sport I'm calling, I never put a number on wins. But I think this team being more athletic will help us. And I think it's a little bit deeper than it was a year ago. I think he can probably go 9-10 deep, which in this conference you have to. And the one factor everybody has is who's going to get hurt. Where are the injuries coming and at what position? I think if we lose Kennedy, at any point in time, we're going to take a step backwards. I think if you lose any of the bigs, because we don't have a lot of them, that's, you may have to go to basically a 5-guard offense.
Sure.
So those are things. But I think, to answer your question, I think just being able to keep the system in place for a full year and to see the numbers in some categories go up, shooting percentage-wise, turnovers, drop that down, distribute the basketball. I think those can be signs of success for us.